Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures with your host Hiker Lou. And today's video is going to be all about scouting Fatwood in wet conditions and lighting a campfire. So what I'm going to do is scout around and look for a piece of Fatwood under wet conditions and demonstrate to you in case you were in a survival situation and you had to get a fire lit. I'm going to show you how it's done. So what we're going to do is I'm going to look for a piece of Fatwood under wet conditions, and I'm going to look for some dry twigs or anything, even if it's wet. I'm sure, even under the wet conditions, what I like to do first is go scout out a small piece of Fatwood and harvest it, get it ready, extract shavings from the Fatwood, add strips, put it on the side, have a bundle of twigs and some larger pieces of wood and show you how you can get a fire lit under wet conditions. So this video is all about scouting Fatwood under wet conditions and lighting a campfire. So stay with me. This is Hiker Lou from the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures. Welcome back to the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures, and I'm your host Hiker Lou. And I want to show you something that I picked up just a little while ago. A piece of Fatwood, and it's all wet, but I'm sure we could get something out of it because they say it could light under wet conditions. As far as we know, that Fatwood can light under wet conditions, and this is a piece of wet Fatwood. It didn't take long to find it, so I'm going to harvest it and get back to you and show you what I have. And we're going to go look for some dry twigs. There's plenty of pine needles, but they're all soaking wet. But I can extract some of them. Let me see what I have here. I did get some twigs that you could see. These are dry twigs that I got off of a hanging tree. I'm going to lay them there now. We have plenty of, this is more of pine needles, and some of these are dry. A lot of them are wet. You can see that. I don't know if you can, how good you can see that, but that's all wet there. And right here in the sun. And look at this. Without even realizing, I have a stump right behind me. Talking about good luck, huh? Okay, so I'm going to take some of these dry pine needles and put them over here. And this is what we're going to get lit. So what I'm going to do, just looking at this real quick. I didn't even know what's behind me. It's all crumbling apart, except this little piece right there. There may be something in there, so I'm just gonna lay that to the side and use this bark. I'm gonna use this bark as a base to put my tinder and kindling on the branches and give that small demonstration. Okay, I know the sun is shining, but it's been raining for the last couple of days, and this is a demonstration that I just want to show you. Everything is wet, so to show you the power of Fatwood. Okay, so turn back this way. Here's that piece of Fatwood that I found, and this is a nice piece, and I'm going to harvest this whole thing and take it with me and process it at the table. As you can see, this definitely is Fatwood, folks. Definitely Fatwood. Okay, so I'll be right back with you once I process this Fatwood and get a piece off of it so we could do some shavings and get a fire lit for you. Okay, this is Hiker Lou with the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures with your host Hiker Lou, and here I am with a piece of Fatwood, very wet Fatwood. So what I'm going to do is cut into this and get a dry piece or a piece that I could use. They say you could light it under wet conditions, and everything is wet. I got a little bundle, a tinder bundle here. So what I'm going to do is extract something from this. I went out and scouted a little piece of wood. It's totally saturated, wet. Everything around me is wet, but I want to show you how you could go scout a piece of Fatwood under wet conditions and light a campfire. But I'm just going to light a small fire as a demonstration to show you that if you could do it here, you could do it anywhere. So this is just a small demonstration. It won't take long. The video is not going to be a long video, so it's just a demonstration on scouting for Fatwood under wet conditions and getting a campfire started. So stay with me, folks. Okay, folks, what we're going to do, we're going to cut a piece of this wood now and see what we have in here. This is definitely bad wood, folks. There's definitely bad wood here, folks. What I'm going to do is cut down the middle of it. We got a nice piece off already, so we'll cut right down the middle. See what we can get. There's definitely bad wood here, folks. This is wet wood, very wet wood. So we're going to cut into this little piece here. I'm going to cut right down the middle here. Now folks, there is a nice piece of fatwood. It didn't take long to scout this piece of fatwood out. It was, you could say, just fell in the palm of my hands. As I was scouting out a location to make this video, there was that piece, just like there is a stump behind me. Awesome find. Look at that, folks. I want to show that to you. Look how beautiful that piece of fatwood is. There's a lot. This is the whole thing right here. And you can see it's totally saturated, totally wet. Look at that. Totally wet. So I'm going to harvest some of this. I'm going to cut down again. I'm just going to see what we got here. This is a nice piece of wood here, folks. Oh yes, beautiful fatwood. Look at that. Wow, look at an incredible piece of wood. I'm going to cut right down the middle again. Oh yes, folks. So we got a piece of harvest right here. We just may use this to give a demonstration on getting the campfire started. But what I'm doing is just cutting down and processing this wood, and then I'm going to give a demonstration. And here's another beautiful piece. Another beautiful piece, folks. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful fatwood so far. Look at that, folks. Beautiful fatwood. So I have another piece here. A lot of it is corroded. Break that off. You can see that clearly. You can clearly see that fatwood right there. Look at that fatwood, folks. Get the camera over here. Now that's fatwood, and you can see how old this is. Look at that, and it's completely wet. We have knots. And this is the skeleton of the tree. Everything around it rotted out. And this is what's left because it has high concentrations of pine resin. And that would, kind of, to a degree, it preserves the wood. Okay. Let's get back to this. rich that is with pine resin. You can see that. Show that to you there. Beautiful piece of wood here, folks. Okay, folks, what I'm going to do is demonstrate, and I'm going to scrape some shavings off, make some shavings and some strips, and I'm going to put it in this bark and to show you how fast this thing can go up. Okay, what we're going to do, this is the interior of the wood, where the fat wood, the resin is concentrated at. So I'm just taking a few shavings off, but I'm going to give it more fine shavings on top of this, just to show you the power.
Your phone has no signal, so I can't help you with that at the moment.
See, just slowly just take shavings off like this. And we want to just gather them up. You can see that what I'm doing, folks, just taking shavings off. Okay. Got my old pocket knife. And what you want to do is use the spine, the top of the knife, the spine it's called. And you want to kind of get the shavings off that way. And they're much finer. You can see these shavings here. I'll bring the camera down a little more. You can see that. Shavings are right there. So what I'm going to do, take another piece of wood, get some shavings off this. Okay, here we are. I have the shavings. I'm using a piece of bark as a base. And we're going to ignite this, put some of this on top, then I'm going to put it out. And I'm going to clear this whole section here. I got the twigs, other pieces of wood. Like I said, everything is wet over here, so I just want to, just to be safe. Okay. The purpose of making this video. See, I cleared everything out. Okay, folks, here we are. Now, I have my ferrocerium rod with a striker and a piece of fatwood, but I'm not going to use this fatwood here. I'm going to use the shavings that I extracted from this wet piece of fatwood. This is a wet piece of fatwood, but they say under wet conditions, it's still light. So I have shavings, and we're going to put it to the test. It's only going to be a brief test. I'm not going to let this thing burn too long. This is just for a demonstration purposes only, to show you the power of fatwood, how it can light under wet conditions. Everything else around me here is wet. But when you know you can get this lit, take anything else that's wet, but this stays burning long enough to dry, it starts to get wet too. I mean, it starts to burn. Okay, folks, here we are, back at the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures, and I'm your host, Hiker Lou. Here we have the shavings. Here I have some twigs and some pine needles, just to show you. So what we're going to do, show you everything else around me is wet, and I notice there's a lot of pines that's all wet. This is a contained little fire that I'm going to make very shortly. I'll put it out, but just to show you. There we are, folks. You see that? This is wet. So what you do, in that case, you could take a couple of twigs, small twigs, let it burn, let it catch. And this gives you time to get a fire lit. There we are. That's to show you that you can get a fire lit. And this is the fatwood that's lighting now. It gives you time to get something lit. You can put twigs on top of that. Let it start to burn. You can take a couple of these here. Then once you got your pine needles on there, that lights right up. Just to show you dry pine needles that I extracted, so you can get a fire started. And there we are. And this is the power of fatwood, even wet. Under wet conditions, you could get a fire lit. A little more of that on there, just to show you. And go right into it, it starts up again. There we are, folks. That's a small demonstration I just want to share with you. The power of fatwood under wet conditions in a survival situation. Your life may depend on it. Okay, this is Hiker Lou from the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures. It's time to put this little fire out. Gotta make sure the whole thing is out. And just to be safe for the camera also, and for myself, I'm putting water on that. Folks, that's going to wrap it up. I just want to give that small demonstration on scouting for fatwood under wet conditions and getting a small campfire lit in a survival situation. So if you were ever in a survival situation and your life depended on it, you sure can depend on fatwood to get the job done in lighting a fire under wet conditions. You never know you never know your life may depend on it one day. Okay, this is Hiker Lou with the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures. And one thing before I go, I'm going to share with you, this is the wood. It's wet fatwood, you can see that. But this is what I extracted and did the scrapings from, the shavings and the scrapings. And look at that concentration of resin, folks. This is a beautiful piece of fatwood. I had no idea. I was just going to scout for a small piece, and I ended up finding a nice piece of fatwood. I'm going to process this at the table before I go in. And you can see how beautiful that is, folks. That is some serious resin in that knot. And we have some more here too. More fatwood here, folks. Just to let you know, look how beautiful this wood is. And I have all the pieces that I collected, that I cut. I'm keeping it all. Look at that, folks. Look at the richness of that color. We have a few more pieces here. Before I turn this camera off, I want to share my experience with you and how fortunate I am to come across a beautiful piece of fatwood. Wow, I'm just blown away. No expectations of looking where to look. I just, as I was scouting for a piece to do the video, I came across this big piece, a skeleton you could call it, like in my other video. Look at that. Now if that is not a beautiful piece of fatwood, I don't know what is. Okay, and I guess, I think I have another piece here to show you. That's another one. And a couple of small ones. Every piece I keep, especially if you're out there harvesting it yourself, everything is a piece of gold. As far as you're concerned, it's gold, so you don't waste it. Okay, this is Hikaloo from the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures. I'll see you back at the cutting table. Be safe. Welcome to the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures once again, folks, and here I am. I'm at the table, and I processed some wood that I found while scouting for some fatwood to make a scouting fatwood under wet conditions, lighting a campfire, or scouting fatwood under wet conditions and lighting a campfire. So the goal was to find a piece of fatwood, which I did, and to show you under wet conditions that the pine resin, which is fatwood, can light under wet conditions and give you enough time and burns long enough to start twigs and pine needles, which I did, to ignite them. And if any wood is wet, what the fatwood does, burns long enough with the resin that it actually dries some of that the small pieces of wood that you put, like the twigs. If they're wet, you put it over that fatwood that constantly burns because of the resin. It dries it up and then starts to ignite it, and then you can actually keep feeding it. And if there's and even I noticed even wet pine needles, they also, once you put it over that fire, they dry really fast, and then just start igniting. Just takes right up. It creates a little smoke at first, but then it starts lighting up, and that gives away to even your chances of getting a fire under a survival situation. So this is wood that I processed today. It's not a lot. I wasn't looking for something as far as going out scouting for stumps, but what my goal was for the video was to go out and scout for just a piece of fatwood, a small piece, which I found a nice piece, and this is the byproduct of that, is a finished piece of fatwood that I found. And I did a video, so what I was trying to explain how to get a fire under wet conditions using fatwood. Now, as you see in the video, it's not a lot, and I didn't make a large fire. I didn't make something, I didn't make a bonfire. I didn't make a campfire, which I said at the beginning. It's just getting something lit that you could see that fatwood does light under wet conditions and with wet pieces of wood. So that was the goal, that you see that I'm lighting and igniting using the ferricium rod to ignite the shavings from the pine wood that I found. So I'm using the ferricium rod to ignite the fatwood shavings that I found along my hiking adventures to demonstrate that it can light under wet conditions. So that was just a small demonstration of how you could get a fire lit under wet conditions using fatwood. Especially the fatwood that I found was wet. It was wet just like everything else, but I cut into it and got some of the inner shavings, and I actually got that fire started. So this is the Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures with your host, Hikaloo. Be safe.